things and just building bags. And there were like 4 of those blue Amazon trucks just sitting outside. I was like, oh shit, okay.
I'm sure if I went downtown where the whole field near me is, it would be like that.
And then on the inside, the rest of the regular employees were like the specialized people, so like the meat pack guy and the cheese guy, and then now there's a Lysol guy.
Yeah.
Actually, if I'm properly stating this, there's like 4 Lysol guys. And like I would walk down the aisle, and there'd be a guy at the end of the aisle and then he would just walk down the whole thing, just spraying Lysol and everything. And he'd stop on the other side, just come back, spray the other side.
That's gotta be a good job.
And that's like, as I walked, that's all these guys were doing. I was like, all right, cool.
I'm surprised I'm not seeing a lot more Lysol commercials.
At this point, it would be waste of money. Everyone knows.
They don't need to advertise.
I mean, even then, I would just want a larger presence.
One of the places that had a really, really long line was a CVS. Also on 125th.
Yeah, I'm not going to CVS.
It was longer than the one for the Whole Foods. And I was wondering, I'm like, fuck, CVS? And when I looked, they had a sign that said, we have gloves and masks. I'm like, yeah.
Did you download the iRig microphone app?
Oh, they have an app? Have an app? I do not. I'm going to go get it now.
I was so pissed I didn't get to Michael's before they closed.
I mean, you could also just use GarageBand probably.
I mean, let's make sure all the things are in one file for the Bupa. No?
Well, there's 2 things. One is the app to record into, which we can use any. There's a voice memos app also, which I think voice recorder.
So which mic are you hearing me from? Because I feel like I can hear myself really well today.
You're listening to this normal setup. You won't be able to hear the lav mic. Okay. That's going to be something that comes after. 1, 2. Oh, that's because you're really loud.
Oh, okay.
I'm turning it down.
Do you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Engaging hit mic.
Oh, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about that are produced by Star Trek freaks, like the people who you and I are fans.
Yes.
And we know a lot about Star Trek.
But we don't speak Klingon.
Yeah, we don't speak Klingon, and I don't know like the dimensions of a Borg cube offhand and stuff like that. There are people like that who make videos and like go through bunches of episodes and just discuss like the aspects of 7 of 9 and like the difference, like the terrorist aspects of Star Trek and things like that. You know, past, present, and future, and just kind of dissect all the internet presence of Star Trek, all of it. And it's weird how much the information they have, but it's also good content.
I feel like
it's called like the channel's called like Lore Reloaded, and there's a bunch of other stuff that comes up with it.
I feel like just to be proper Star Trek fans. 1 August we're gonna have to do it.
What?
Save up some money.
Go to TrekCon or whatever it's called.
Pack all our shit and go to Vegas.
Yep. Okay.
And
you're gonna have to get down.
Walk around.
Yep. I'd love to.
Look at all the people dressed up as Klingons in 112-degree weather. Going, holy shit! How did you get your makeup across the street?
Yeah.
Testing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
It's lower than it was before, so it feels.
Well,
weird.
yours is really loud before.
Okay.
If I recorded it that loud, it would be
overwhelming.
Just too loud.
Okay.
Yes.
Help!
Refrigerator.
The refrigerator is running.
Refrigerator.
We are like the mad scientist kitchen of cables.
Yay.
Hopefully this won't have to be a thing too much longer.
This is a new cable podcast.
Yes. Das cables? Oh no. My dear, you've lost your... They're so annoying.
Toby, you didn't bring them a bed.
Oh, you want to go get it?
Toby. I'll be right back after these messages.
you amused?
I am. Because I can see you say words.
I gotta fix my bike. I got a flat tire.
Wow, why?
It's built a while ago when I bought it and just haven't fixed it yet. And you know, like I just wasn't moving that way. But now it's like I want to be on my bike. And if I could fix it and stay off the train, that'd be even better.
Well, I have a folding bike.
I wanted one of those. I couldn't find a good one.
I have one. I thought it was a good idea, and it is in theory. But the issue is that folding bikes have like, at least from what I've seen, they haven't got to a point where they can be foldable and still maintain strength.
Oh.
And so my folding bike is really nice.
You're not fat though.
No, but it's heavy.
Ah.
So like for me, getting in and out of my building is a little like clunky because the doors don't align and there's the stairs. So in order for me to get in and out of my building, I have to carry this heavy bike and get through, and it's annoying. Especially if I have a basket, because I bought the folding bike off of eBay. It's beautiful. It's like practically brand new. And it came with baskets, and so I was like, I'm gonna get this bike so that I can bike over to all the parks and bring all my photo gear in the basket and shoot. And then I realized how difficult it is. So now I really want an electric scooter. You have to take his keychain off if you're gonna keep him up.
Okay. Is this interfering with my mic?
Oh, you gotta sit up.
No, I mean obviously I'll sit up, but I mean the lavalier or
just don't touch.
Okay.
Don't do this.
All right.
Touch your chest. I'll be fucked up. Oh, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if the iRig will create 2 separate channels if it detects 2 mics. I have to look into that.
We'll find out soon.
Because if we could, that's the only thing keeping me from just moving forward with this setup, is I like to have 3 different channels. Right now we have 2, although I'm not terribly worried about you.
Oh, okay.
But that's the thing.
Anyway. We didn't detect the shade at all.
What shade?
The no shade. It was undetectable.
What? What?
Shady, shady, shady.
What's happening here?
Nothing.
I hate all of you. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hola.
This is the Old Cable Podcast.
What? No.
Oh, I'm just confused by all the cables. This is the Old Book Podcast. We read old books and we talk about them.
Usually.
Currently, we are talking about The Moonstone.
Yes.
The Moonstone.
Yeah, we do a lot of talking about books. We also do a fair amount of talking about other things too.
Yes.
But that's okay. It's all fun.
Yes, this is the Tangent Podcast as well.
No, we don't want it.
It's like we make tangents and go off on them.
You're right. So that's it. We finished The Moonstone. Oh yeah, I should mention we have
video now.
We have video.
Yeah.
So this is being recorded, and if you want to see the unadulterated version of this episode, you can tune into the YouTube channel where I'll be uploading video capture of the entire thing, unaltered, as opposed to the podcast, which are trimmed down for all the tangents.
Now you can see how often I look homeless.
And if you're tuning into this video, you'll see there's extra cables because we're trying out lavalier mics. We're recording on lavalier mics while simultaneously recording on the tried and true tabletop microphones.
That's right. K fancy now.
Muy fancy. So if the lavaliers work, then that will be very freeing.
Yes.
And we can use those.
We're currently filming at a petting zoo.
A few less cables.
Maybe.
It does feel like there are less cables this week, even though there are more.
I try to be mindful of the cable setup on the table because I know that we're filming now, so I don't let that shit act out. Like I try to keep it kind of streamlined. It's hard though, and I have a dog that's just being a nutcase in the background.
Yep.
Well, she saw Toby got picked up. So she demanded to be picked up as well.
She got picked up too.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's got.
She's not. That's not how she works. She's very much like me in that she wants all the attention all the time, and so. The moment anyone thinks about touching Toby, she senses it and pushes him out of the way and tries to get that good love. Anyway, we digress. We finished it.
We finished it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was long. But we knew that going in because it was like, what, 40, 50 hours?
Yeah. It was more interesting than I thought at first, because at first it was like, Am I not close enough? I'm sorry.
There you are.
Yeah, so it was, it was long, and I'm not really much of a detective novel guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it at some point. At some point it started getting better.
Yeah, after Bettridge's piece.
Yeah.
No, I lie. After the woman after Bettridge's piece.
Yeah.
Although her part was really amusing. We did chat about it the last episode. Everything after that...
Miss Clark.
Yes. Yeah, Miss Clark. After Bettridge and Miss Clark, they were long and they served their purpose, but after that...
Yeah, I think I've seen women like her on the train.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm certain you have.
Yeah.
I was just happy we finally got to a... Because every detective story needs a oh my god moment.
Yes.
And we finally got it in this book. With the discovery of what was hidden in the box.
Oh.
Yes.
What's in the box?
The underdress and who it belonged to.
Really? That was what did it for you?
What's in the box?
Well, because it gave us a suspect that the person who is looking at the box is like, I have my suspects, and it's me? That's great. Because that turns over every idea like, wait, I'm confused now.
Yeah.
Well, so at that point I was like, okay, I see where this is going. I'm curious. I was still under the, at that point I was like, okay, then somebody else wore his shirt to try to frame him. That was my thought. And then when he goes and he speaks directly to Rachel, and she tells him that she saw him with her own eyes.
That's right.
Walk in, take the thing, and leave. That's when I was like, how the hell is he going to get out of this one? Because that's crazy.
Right.
That shit was like, oh,
right.
snap.
It was good.
Yep.
And see what had happened was I seen you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought that at first she was just like being dramatic, and then she goes, I don't know why you're here. I saw you. And I was like, oh shit.
Right, like her character made no sense whatsoever. Up to when you're like, oh, she was actually looking out for homie.
Mm-hmm.
We had you wrong, lady. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thought you were a brat.
That's right.
I mean, she was a brat.
She was a brat.
I mean, she was a brat because she didn't know how to properly hide things.
Yeah.
But still.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, some of us have those problems. I'm not saying who. Some of us can't keep secrets and we talk too much, but
But you got a black box.
I do.
So that's it. That's the trick. When
That's
you tell them it's a secret. Oh no. Never mind. I cancel.
So having one of those moments was great. I enjoyed having the return of Mr. Cuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer a sergeant, for he is retired.
That's right.
When this guy, what was the kid's name? The kid with the funny eye.
Bad names in life and in literature.
Oh no. Gall something.
So just to explain, at some point they're in London, and this lawyer has these kids that he uses to spy on people for, which anyone who likes a good Sherlock story knows that's also a Sherlock method.
Because nobody's looking at children.
Correct.
Children should be seen and not heard.
Well, not even seen.
Just like a spy.
So he has this one particular kid that has a nickname because he has what sounds like a lazy eye.
Oh, the Dewberry? Something, what was it?
Yeah, something Berry.
Something Berry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love that, Franklin is waiting for the kid and he's like, come in! And you get the deep voice. Why, thank you. Wait, that's not the kid.
Yeah. Was this all the same narrator? In this, or at least in this part of the narrative, this narrative, was it the same? Because it's like, it doesn't sound like a completely different person, but the voice is different.
At that point, it's all Franklin Blake's point of view.
But I mean, I wonder if the actor who was reading is the same person. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Because even there was a female voice, and then it went like flawlessly into the next voice, and I was like, I wonder if that's the same person. doing like 3 or 4 different voices.
I think he has a
to
decent
narrate.
range.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's the same narrator throughout.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have different people.
Oh, okay. So then I think this guy did a great job. This is one of our better performances.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, I think I remarked on that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
I think we did last
I
time.
appreciated even like when he had to do his Indian voice.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate what it sounded like. Like it didn't sound
It didn't sound stereotypical
correct.
and ridiculous. Like he was doing some sort of ridiculous parody of an Indian. It's like that sounded like it could not obviously, but like easily be a real Indian person speaking. Indian born person.
Right.
Well,
An Asian person.
Well, here's the thing I was gonna ask, because there are the points where he talks about the Indian people like throughout the book and like the small conversations, and then there's a part where he's narrating as what's his name, the doctor guy.
Doctor guy. Which doctor?
The one that was looking over the Mr. Candy.
Oh, okay. Ezra
Jennings.
Jennings.
Yeah, that accent sounded more British than anything. Was
Well,
he Indian? Also, I was under the impression.
Ezra is, I guess, what we would nowadays call a mulatto.
Ah, so
He
he's
explains
British.
that.
He's British on one part of his family
Right.
and Indian in the other part.
Oh.
I believe his mother was the
The Indian.
Indian, and his
Na-
father
native,
was, one of
Native
those
Indian.
Yeah, I
traveling
just
soldier types.
Gotcha.
I enjoyed that narrative. The accent was done well. His contribution to the story was really interesting.
Yes.
But in my head, I'm like, this doesn't sound Indian.
Mm.
What's going on here?
No, I think that was put in kind of purposefully,
Mm-hmm.
where it's one of those things where you're getting to see like the different views. For instance, everyone who saw him was just like repulsed or shocked because it's like, oh, look at this dark-skinned guy trying to be a
Mhm.
doctor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which nowadays we can still
Yeah,
be like,
there's still people like that. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you look like. Heal me.
Mm-hmm.
and then even like he describes how when everyone meets him, they're all like, and then
a painted man.
right, they're all a little shocked, and then they ease into it as he begins speaking to them, like,
Mhm.
oh,
It's like,
to the point where I love how towards the end of I think it's Franklin's narration, one of the narrations, they talk about how Mr. Jennings won everyone over, including the woman that came with Lady Verinder to the experiment,
Mm-hmm.
where she said it. She's like, I've been part of many experiments that were not handled well. That is so superb. It's like this woman who at first was like, oh, this is weird scientists. And
she was the one who was
Right.
asking for the explosion that happened before she went to bed.
right.
And it's like, when everything blows up, could you make sure it's just before before I take my final.
What was that about? I must have missed the part.
So she was saying that she had been friends with a lot of scientists.
Yeah.
And
No. I mean the explosion itself.
That's what I'm telling you about.
Oh, she started talking to me about her friends.
Listen.
No.
Oh.
I'm asking you
Jesus.
about apples and you telling me about oranges.
No, I'm telling you about apples, but you don't want to listen.
Okay, go on.
She was talking about her friends were all scientists.
Uh-huh.
And every time they would invite her to a scientific experiment, there would be a giant explosion.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So she wanted to know when the explosion
That's
was
right.
going
At
to
least
happen.
this time y'all
Oh,
could
got
tell
it.
me when the explosion's gonna be.
Right.
Oh, I thought that they had told her that there was an explosion, and so she was waiting for it. That's why she kept asking.
No, she made the assumption because all the other times she's been there, something explodes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But weren't they just doing drugs?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but they didn't tell her that part. Because much like Ezra told Blake, he's like, when you explain this to people, they're not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
So they chose
Veterans didn't like it.
They chose not to explain it to the lady
Yeah.
who already was nervous because the young lady was going to be in a building with a bunch of men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that stuff is crazy to me. One, that there was a time in our collective society, not just this country but others, where people were just doing opium,
Mm-hmm.
like out in the open, like it was a part, like haven't you done opium? How dare you just be not doing opium? It's like, and then all of a sudden we're so prudish,
Mm-hmm.
and also it's like, you in here with dudes by yourself. What you trying to do?
Yeah,
like
right?
the idea that some point in our society that like you could not be around a woman unless she was your wife,
When I was growing up, that was even a thing in my.
I'm sure it's a thing that's lasted in certain circles.
It's not appropriate to be a young lady in a room with a man, and that kind of mentality of like you should be watched. But I think part of that comes from the opinion or the worry that maybe it's not like it's a protective thing against the girl that the man might try to do something.
Yeah.
Whether or not like that's okay, I think it's just people being cautious.
No, I understand that part of it. I'm even okay with. I would understand that part of it if it was to protect women because we know they need to be protected.
Excuse me?
Because men are trash. Dudes are trash. Like how many trash dudes do you know? Too many. Like I don't know a lot of women who are like just lusting over men and just like I'm gonna rip his clothes off any moment now.
Oh, you got a lot more.
I would love to be in a room like that, but it's not a room I know that exists. As far as like on the internet, there are plenty of places like that. But, in like everyday society, like it's like you're this theater has men in it. There's no women allowed, and it's like, well, why are all these dudes in here? With no women, it's like the world is like half men, half women. I don't know the exact demographics, but it's like half the world is not acceptable to women because there are guys there. It's like that's crazy to me. Or even the idea that there are certain like professions where you would basically couldn't be a woman because you'd have to deal with men.
That's very much a thing even today. Like when you look at a lot of tech industries are very like bro culture. Yeah. And so being a woman at a company that's mostly like bro dudes essentially can be very, very challenging. Yeah. Like being the only woman in a meeting it's a challenging situation. Not that there's some old lady sitting next to you guarding you to make sure that you're safe, but it's still like our civilization has its own versions of that challenge.
Even to a certain extent, it feels like that's where our culture's going. Like they're going to start hiring women chaperones, where older women are just going to be following you around.
What? See, as you said it, that just popped into my head. Like I imagine like this super bro dude environment of some tech company. And like some little old lady just comes in with a little cane, sits next to the girl.
A cane and a ruler.
And she's just staring at these bro dudes, and they're just like, I'm gonna sit down.
Exactly. But then productivity
I don't know
goes.
how to feel about this.
But then productivity goes up. Lunchtime is shortened. Everything is great.
I don't know how I feel about this. I'll have to return to this idea. This is a little bizarre. Oh no.
No, is he falling asleep?
Yep. Nerves have entered the pocket.
Toby is now knocked out.
Sleepy pest. So let me think. Because the ending of the book was really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. That letter at the end was really cool, where he basically. So the narrator at the end was the guy who left, visited his father, who was too busy for him, and then continued to travel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, which guy?
The one at the very end that writes the letter to say that he found the Moonstone back in India.
No, that's the traveling guy.
Right. Isn't the traveling guy the one that was initially part of the party, and then he left, party, he tried to talk to his dad, but his dad was like, I ain't got time for that.
Whose dad?
He tried to visit his dad, and he said, I have an emergency, and his father said that he was busy, and to bring his emergency back when he was not busy. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, but it's just the way you said it was.
That's basically what it was. He's like,
no, the father's name was Franklin. The traveling guy is the guy who could speak to the Indians, who first identified them.
Yeah, I'm trying to I don't remember clearly who the last narrator was.
That's who the last narrator is. Yeah. So,
that's different. That's the one who was initially one of the earlier on in the book during Bettridge's part where he was saying he was the one to first explain the caste system and the fact that the Indians were there. That's what that meant. That's him.
That's him.
Okay, and then he wrote the letter just basically being like, I remember you guys were looking for this. I found it. Y'all ain't getting it back.
Right. Because he was able to see the ceremony because he is embedded into their culture. And he had, like he's explained, he was on this path, and he ran into some friends of his that are religious, and they told him, yeah, you should come check this out. There's going to be a great celebration. And in his mind, he's like, oh, sure. Not thinking it's connected to...
Yeah.
And then the very 3 Indians that he saw at the party happened to be there.
Now, the question is, because from what it sounded like, it seemed like they had returned from their pilgrimage, but then they were about to say goodbye and go 3 separate ways.
Correct.
Why?
Because one of the things he explained about their caste system and the way it works, they were religious, like monks, or I don't know what the level is. But because of them being that, by leaving their temple, by leaving their country, they gave that all up.
Oh, wow.
They become they basically become unable to be part of their own culture.
Right.
So they took that kind of like, I don't know if you remember, he referenced when he calls them, he's like, this beautiful ceremony of these doomed men. The reason he calls them doomed is because they can never really go back to what they were.
Right.
You ever like kind of excommunicated?
In a sense.
Oh,
They had to complete this job, but to complete the job, they were going against the rules of the religion.
Gotcha.
So they got the Moonstone back, they brought it, and then all 3 of them had to leave in different directions, because they also had to exile themselves from each other, which is like, that's crazy. Like, you're giving up everything about your life, and the 3 people or the 2 people you've known through this ordeal, you can never speak to them again.
That's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
How do you think it got back?
What do you mean?
Because they never mentioned how it wound up back in India, did they?
Yeah.
Well, how?
Well, they killed the real thief.
As you should.
And then, like they said, like they took a boat. Because remember, the last chapter was 3 different narrations.
Right.
Of course,
where it's like,
that's what we do here.
Where it's like one cop's like, hey, I saw these 3 guys on a boat.
Right.
They get to the boat, and then they talk to the boat captain. He's like, yeah, there were 3 Indians on a boat. But then
left.
they disappeared right when we got to the coast.
Right.
Because they saw it coming. So they stole one of the dinghies and went to the coast before the boat landed.
Got it.
And at that point, they just on foot.
It disappeared into India.
Right.
But how did they get the stone?
What do you mean? They killed Godfrey.
How did Godfrey? Oh, good, that's right. Because he had gotten it right when this guy was coming out of the room, right? When Blake was coming out of the room with the stone.
He's disguised with the big beard and the hat.
Yeah.
And the old guy, Cuff, is like slowly revealing him. Remember the little kid standing on the chair? He's like, oh, he's pulling off his wig. Oh, he's pulling off his beard.
Right.
His skin color is different.
All along, we didn't know we were reading Scooby-Doo.
Oh, wait,
Oh, shit, you're right.
That also reminds me of the Sherlock story, The Crooked Man.
Yes.
So the Sherlock story is a wife goes to Sherlock because her husband has gone missing. And the last time she saw him was in a room. And when the cops show upstairs, like less than a minute later, the only person that's in there is like this howled up dude. And so they even though there's no evidence to support that he was the one who had anything to do with the disappearance of her husband, who was a upstanding, clean, like hardworking gentleman, they brought the cripple to the jailhouse. And later on, Sherlock finds out that the cripple was just the upstanding gentleman who was used to doing theater performances in his youth. And was performing as a beggar because he made more money begging than he did working 9 to 5s.
Oh.
And so...
Remember there was a few people on Fifth Avenue that were doing that?
Yeah.
They all read that show.
But apparently that's a big thing. Like there was a news report some time ago that was like, you can make more money panhandling than you can working some jobs.
Which sucks because then, like...
Well, it goes against the idea that the city, people in the city are, heartless and cruel and things like that. It's like people are basically GoFunding some guy's life.
My take on it is the opposite, because there are people out there who do genuinely end up down on their luck and who could use the help.
True.
And so you have these stories surface about people who are, not to say like abusing the system, but basically taking advantage of that.
True. And
it hardens everyone. They're like, I'm not going to give you anybody any money because, I read that article that woman was driving a Bentley like 2 blocks from where she was begging.
True.
So in a way that like it's the same thing with people who like falsify documentation for service animals.
Oh, true.
And then a lot of places,
or fake charities and things like that.
Right. It's just it sucks because the people who genuinely could use the help end up getting fucked over because of the abuse, which makes me sad.
Funny thing is, we were actually talking about this in church yesterday.
Oh really?
Yeah. Basically, the statement was that you give because you want to give.
Mm-hmm.
You give because it's not about the situation of the person you're trying to give to, or like where they are. Like
right.
I had mentioned, you know, like not wanting to give to certain people because they were standing in front of a liquor store, and I don't want you to use my money
mm-hmm.
to go in there and buy liquor. You know, like when you're supposed to need help, you know, you better go get help with my money. It's like
yeah.
if you're giving someone money, it's no longer your money for one.
Mm-hmm.
For two, it's like if you're giving, you should do so because you genuinely hope that this person goes and
right.
gets the help they
right,
need.
Right, right.
But either way, you're releasing the money to whatever happens.
Mm-hmm. That's my take. It's like even if you give them money and they do go out and buy drugs or they buy alcohol or whatever, they have a pain.
Yeah.
And they have a finite amount of resources. So whatever they use their resources on, if it helps them in whatever way they feel like they need, then it's not for me to judge anybody or their situation or anything. So it's just like, if I'm moved to give someone money, as I've done many times, I don't, like, out of sight, out of mind. It's just like, I just give money if
Once
I have
again,
it.
we cannot detect the shade.
So
not you this time.
No. Let me explain.
There was a tone.
Oh, God.
So I'm part of that New York group where I'm just like, I ain't giving people.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of times we're walking, we'll see a guy with a sign, and she'll look in her bag, and she'll get this face. It's like heartbreaking. So I go into my wallet and I'll hand her like $1 or $2, and she'll go give it to them because it makes her happy. And you know, like I'm not the most generous, charitable person on the street.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yes.
But you know, I can't keep her from not being charitable.
You were quite generous. I've eaten off of you many times.
Oh no. No more food for Dennis.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, I kind of understood it from that point now, where it's like, if I'm giving, I'm giving. And if I'm not, I'm not. Because, you know, there's plenty of times on the train when you see somebody, like, coming through the train and they're, like, begging for money and stuff like that. And then there's that one person who's like, I just came from a wonderful dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And I have all this leftover food I didn't even touch.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, you just lost all the money you were going to make in this car. It's like, because then you see the bag and it's like, that's a good restaurant. I would want that food. And it's like, oh, you not taking that? Because I can use a steak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, she just came from Morton's and you don't want a steak? I was like, okay.
Meanwhile, they open the bag and it's
mess
like...
up my hair a little bit. Tear my jacket, get a steak tonight.
So funny. Going way off topic.
This is the Tangent Podcast. We make tangents and then we go off on them.
Trying to think what else is related to the book.
No, we were talking about the gentleman who was...
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
The whole conversation where he goes to Rachel to discuss the situation where he believes that she's upset because she saw the dress.
Yes. Before
she tells him that she saw him take the stone. He had no idea she'd seen it because he didn't know he did it.
Correct.
I want to know how you guys would have handled that conversation. Because essentially the way he did it, he didn't attempt to defend himself. He didn't correct, her opinion or anything. He didn't even tell her that. I think he mentioned once that he didn't know, but he was completely shut down by her anger and didn't even bother to try to correct it, which I thought was interesting.
Well, I think the first way you do it is you deflect.
What's that?
You turn your back around to her.
Uh-huh.
Well, what would you have done in my situation? Kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. That's dangerous because she's a noble lady. And so if you turn it around, she's gonna be like, "Well, I had hope."
And then you turn that on around her too. So you too good to do this?
Well,
I see where this is going.
Yeah, that's like it. That if he had tried deflecting, he would have hit so hard on his face.
Yes.
So hard.
Yes. Because
clearly, she's like, "Motherfucker, you took it. Why? Because you saw my dress get stained? No, motherfucker, because I saw you take it. What?
Mm-hmm.
Hold up, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're deflecting, it's because you don't know what to do, and you're hoping that you can just kind of weasel your way out of this.
But you can't.
Of course you can.
Who?
Weaseling has nothing to do with actually winning or being in the right.
I'm trying to remember the song.
It's about using your body and your anatomy.
No, he's thinking. No, Dan's thinking of that song. And no matter what she says, it's gonna be like, wasn't me.
That's right.
no,
Yeah,
not
Shaggy.
That's
like,
terrible.
What Moonstone?
Wasn't me.
This was the Sunstone. That wasn't even the same stone.
Well, if you hadn't left the to begin with, I
That's
wouldn't
right.
have sleep took it.
That's right. It's your fault for inheriting stuff. This is why we can't have nice things, because I keep stealing them from you.
I'm being stared at.
I'm leaving stuff all locked up in the dresser in your room. Like, I'm not going to go there and take it from you.
They might sleep.
So, I assume we all felt that Gottfried was a douchebag. Slimy in all the ways possible.
I don't
He
know.
was the ladies' man,
Douchebags
right?
have a bad reputation, but I think they're, I've never used one. But ultimately, I think they serve a good purpose.
So, how did we feel once we found out everything about him in that last chapter?
Well, he was the one that was a ladies' man, right?
Yes.
Right.
But then we found out his true reasoning in Cuff's last statement.
Oh, because he had a woman on the side. He had like a bae and like another life somewhere else, right?
But even worse than that,
Remind
to
me.
pay for the bae, he had somehow come into control of a fortune for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And what he was supposed to do is give this child money every couple of months, and then when the child turned of age, whatever the hell that is in those days,
Mm-hmm.
he's supposed to turn over 20,000 pounds to this kid.
Mm-hmm.
But he bought his lady a house by the beach, has the best art, the best furniture, and has a nice horse and carriage, and like everything. He burned all that kid's fortune. And when he figured out that he burned the kid's fortune, it just happened to be, Lady Varender's birthday. And he's like, well, what, how much is that stone worth? Oh, word? Okay. But he couldn't figure out how to steal it.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, sleepwalking home, he just brings the stone right to him. He's like, okay. Like as a criminal, this guy is like the most happenstance lucky motherfucker that made one bad decision. Just one.
What was that bad decision?
Not planning out the escape better.
That's usually what most criminals fail.
He went to the boat captain the day he got the stone to try and be on the boat.
Yep.
If he was smart, that would have been set up.
Yep.
No, it would have
he
been set up.
didn't expect to take it. I don't think he had.
No,
expected to take
He's
it.
exactly right. So my dad is a correction officer, retired now. But I asked him once, like, I don't understand, why these guys are so good. Like they committed their crimes,
Right.
and other than getting caught, they were successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what part of why are they keep especially because it's so high recidivism.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't understand how these guys can plan out these elaborate crimes, but get caught so easily. If the way you get caught mostly as a prisoner, if you escape prison, is they find you at your girlfriend's house.
Oh no! Really?
Yeah, it's like the stupidest little things that you get caught for afterwards. So it's like life and art imitating life. That so you get away with this amazing crime. You steal this jewel, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, how do I get away? It's like you should have been thinking about the getaway first.
Because that's the thing. Like when Cuff breaks down all the thing Godfrey had planned, he already had a buyer in Austria or some shit
Something like that, yeah.
that was gonna break down the stone. Which means if he got it to that point, the Indians were gonna leave him alone. Because the moment the stone loses its
wholeness.
wholeness,
Yeah.
it loses its mysticism,
Yeah.
and they have failed. So they'll just go away.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't think out the point that he's like, all right, the boat's leaving on this day. I would have gone to the captain like, listen, I know we leave on Thursday, but I need to be on the boat on Wednesday. I don't care. Do you understand? He didn't do that. So the captain turned away like, no, you come back tomorrow. And that's why he died. That one little... Because if he'd gotten on the boat, he gotten all the way where he needed to go, and turned that diamond over to the guy, and the guy starts cutting it, he wins.
Mm-hmm.
He would have won.
I think that you're accustomed to the quality of Monte Cristo.
Yes.
And so this just falling short. Speaking of Monte Cristo, I wanted to know what you guys thought was wrong with Ezra Bridges, because to me it sounded a lot like the same thing that was wrong with the priest.
His disease.
Yeah. It sounded very similar.
Where he needed to take the morphine to keep down the cough, some kind of lung cancer or something like that. Because he was doing something.
That's different.
He was doing something to stop his because he would have attacks.
Right, that's the thing. The way that they made it sound like the attack would make him lose consciousness for periods of time.
And he was taking morphine to
subdue everything.
To subdue everything. So maybe some kind of brain.
I don't know, but it just because I was thinking back to the priest from Monte Cristo, how he had like these paralysis,
and it would
but
slowly
he didn't
cripple him
lose. But he didn't. But Ezra didn't have that like loss of function to limbs.
Right.
And it was more reoccurring than, what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Do you think it was respiratory? I know some respiratory stuff makes you.
It might be. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm sure someone with a slightly better medical background might be able to know based on the symptoms, but.
And the problem is they always describe a bunch of the symptoms rather than describe each individually. They call it fits.
Ah, yeah.
We're like, what does that mean? And it could mean a bunch of things.
Yes.
We just know that when he was dying, he couldn't walk any longer, and he was super weak, which is why he asked the doctor to sit him up to see the sun.
Sounds like dying to me.
What do you think he did that he was so ashamed of?
Well, the way he describes it, he didn't do anything.
He was sitting in a room with a woman.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Like he didn't do.
I think the press might start. No, Toby.
No.
The louder dog is on this side.
Yes. We're keeping all this in.
I mean, it'll be in the video.
Yes. I'm not letting you down. I'm not letting you down. No.
It's kind of cool because they're like barking in stereo. Oh, now they're taking turns. I believe they're in the apartment now, so. Okay, Ahsoka's.
Is this your burping barks now?
Right, Ahsoka's head is going down, so okay, we're good.
That's it. Toby said. Oh, we're back in the Sphinx position.
We're back.
Yep.
After a momentary interruption by some kids outside, followed by our dogs.
And some passive aggressive yaps.
So back to what he did.
What are you talking about?
You're so far back.
I am not. I'm right here.
Back to what he did.
Yes.
I don't think he did anything other than probably say the wrong thing to the wrong person while being brown.
That's all you need to do, ever.
But whatever it was, follow
You've
him.
been brown.
Right.
You've been brown.
And one of the things we've seen in no matter what literature or even in real life, if you're brown and you do something that you didn't do wrong, but it upsets someone, them spiteful someones who attack you just for being brown, they'll follow you because they want to ruin you.
That's right. Sometimes with torches.
Sometimes with torches. So his.
Where are you going? You're not going nowhere.
His biggest crime probably was the fact that he was a doctor.
That's right.
One that, through all the things he talked about, the book he was writing shows he probably could have been an exceptional doctor, but he were brown.
We know brown be doing exceptional doctors.
So that
for sure.
So that, especially in those days, one misstep, one misword, and you could make an enemy for life.
Yes, true.
Luckily, it's something he talks about, along with those vile, evil people that will follow you around looking for revenge. There are some really good people.
Yes.
He talks about all of these people, the doctor that hired him on, and he explained his story to him.
Yeah.
The little guy, Mr. Candies, was like, okay, it's cool.
How you know? Not
Yeah,
for what you
right,
have
okay.
now, not your past.
Yeah. And that he didn't want Blake and Miss Verinder to come back to see him dying because, you know, they gave him this wonderful moment of joy because he got to do his science thing, and it was you know,
It
great.
is really, really awesome when you're a person who likes to experiment with things and you're given a rare opportunity to actually perform an experiment. Like what are the odds that he would have been able to convince Blake to allow him to re-administer the opium, and not just that, but get the house, Lady Verinder's house, back to the original way that it was, and perform everything exactly as it was,
with a few exceptions.
With a few exceptions, like a broken wing statue, for example. But just like just that whole thing is
the vile.
Yeah.
How did Betridge? Vile little fat baby.
Yeah.
It was a cupid.
Well, it's a naked baby with wings, or you know, without wings now. And then and like I didn't like when he was talking about the taxidermied buzzard.
Yeah.
And that it had busted, and it's like, well, how does that happen?
The mover is broken.
I don't think the move's broken.
No, it said it busted, which means like it started to explode on its own.
No. See, I think that was Betridge being shady. like I think when Noah was looking, he's like, oh no, the little baby fell. Oh no, the buzzard is flying.
Well, they were on opium, so that's possible.
Yeah. But like even to the point where they recarpeted the stairs.
Yep.
The whole thing just to be able to carry out a one-night test of a thing.
Well, yeah. Well, the other guy who died, the other guy who did the carpet died.
Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about
Fucking Betridge, man. Like every time he comes into the story, it's just.
We have to add Robinson Crusoe to our reading list.
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah.
To the end.
Yeah.
To the
I
end.
always like I happened to open the book to random check.
And even like shaming somebody because they had only read it once since they were a child.
Right, like how dare you?
It's like, oh, once? You mean this year? And it's like, oh no, that's since I was a child. Excuse me?
But he's like, I opened up to this chapter eons ago, and it talks about a baby, so I knew one was coming. So everyone had babies at that time. Like,
well,
that's
But his last little chapter, he didn't want to talk about the Moonstone. Franklin Blake and Lady Verinder got married. And they happened to, on the day they got married, he had to turn to the chapter about the baby.
Yeah.
Then he marked it.
Yes.
He's like, the next time they have an important conversation, it's going to be about a baby. And Franklin comes to talk to him, and he's like, I already know what it's about. And Franklin's like, how do you know? I found out like 5 seconds ago.
Right? Like,
and he hands him the book. He's like, read this chapter. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, are you a believer now? And at that point, Franklin's like, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm believing that you're a freak.
I took it as like just appeasing Betridge, just be like, you've sold me.
Right.
Because it's like that's what I was saying. Sometime in the next month, the sky will be blue. What the fuck? Like, yeah, probably blue right now. Come on, man. I don't know, because I taped up my windows so I can block out the noise, but
that's right.
It looks bluish. Anyway.
If you knew any better, would you wrap all the children in the building with foam?
What?
To keep them quiet.
I'm like, what? How did we talk? Where did that come from?
They yell it.
Got it. I thought she was growling, but it's outside.
It's a play.
I think it was also Toby snoring a little bit.
Probably. So, in general, what did you think? Were you happy with the story? Do you feel like there was more missing, or?
Like I said earlier, it throttles up and down for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The last third were easily my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Same. Again, because I got my wow, like a twist in the story, and then as it slowly did the not in the Sherlock style, but did the slowly unraveling and showing us the layers of the mystery. Like, oh,
that's right.
Okay, nice.
They called me Mr. Glass. I knew that would piss you off.
You're cancelled.
I know.
So I enjoyed this book.
Okay, so now it's everyone's favorite part of the episode.
Who's who?
Fan casting.
Fan casting.
That's right.
I already know who I want for Betridge.
Who's Bettridge?
You know who Bettridge is.
No, I don't know who Bettridge is.
Not Sean Connery.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh.
Oh, hell yeah. It's gotta be Sean Connery. Could you imagine those long, meandering, like, monologues with...
That accent? Damn.
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah.
Wait, what did he say?
Exactly. It's like, what? Isn't that funny? You don't have to tell me you're having a baby. How did you know? Robinson Crusoe,
Yeah.
my boy. Who would you cast as Bettridge?
Serious movie or?
I mean, alright, so we could start with, like, the more serious roles now.
Well, if it was directed by the Wayans brothers, it would be Ricky Gervais.
Jesus.
Who's that?
You know who it is.
No, wait, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
I probably know his face.
Yeah,
I don't-
yeah. We'll look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, you know. You just don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, I just don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I feel like Blake has to be Tom Hanks.
Blake?
Mm-hmm.
But he's
No, not Blake. The one that travels.
the traveling guy?
Mm-hmm.
The explorer.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he's only in it
'Cause-
for like 10 seconds. So that's
Right,
fine.
but I feel like the way that he addressed them in the beginning of the book and the way that he wrote his letter at the end, it's a little tiny bit of like condescending.
You think Tom Hanks is condescending?
No, but I think he could pull it off.
Oh, okay.
I think he could be like kind of like
Oh, Tropic Thunder guy.
no.
That's Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
That's too much. I mean, just like almost like you can't tell if you're being slapped in the
Yeah.
face with a white glove or not. You're like, dude, you just slap me.
Huh.
Who's Verinder? Lady Verinder and Rachel Verinder.
How old is she?
Which one?
Lady, the younger Verinder.
Shit.
The young Miss Verinder.
18.
I want to say Jennifer Lawrence because she annoys me, but I think she's a really good actress.
Okay.
So,
But I think in her annoyance, she's trying to annoy me. You know, that kind of thing.
So who's her mom?
I was thinking more along the lines of I can't remember her name, but the actress that played Hermione.
Oh, I know her name. Damn it.
Not
Emma Watt.
Emma Watson,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
For her mother or for?
For the girl.
for the
Yeah.
girl.
Who would play the mother?
That one's tough. Because it has to be, at least if we're taking it from Bettridge's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
I want a lady who can pull that gravitas
Mhm.
no matter what's being thrown at her, and the fact that she's dying at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
How old is the mother?
Well, no, she dies from some kind of disease.
Yeah, that's what I know that. But I mean,
Oh, yeah.
how old is she when she died? Is she like 40?
Well, if her daughter's 18, then yeah. Probably 40s,
Probably
50s. 40s, 50s.
Because remember, she brought on Bettridge when he was a child, and at this point, he's like in his 60s.
Oh.
So she was older than him. So she could be in her
Oh.
70s.
Oh,
wow.
damn. No, I don't know about that.
So like older.
So then it would have to be. There's only one. Well, that's not true, but Toby snores.
I don't know.
What's her name from Downton Abbey? Professor McGonagall.
Oh, Maggie Smith.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I was
Yeah.
thinking too. It was like I
Who
just
were
didn't
you
know she was
thinking?
the right age.
originally.
Damn it, what is her name?
What role did she
What did
play?
she do? Yeah.
Well, I'm mostly amused with her from Red.
Oh, Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're good at this shit. I'm really
Oh,
terrible.
I don't know why I know this stuff, but I do.
Yeah, I don't know anybody's name. Yeah, but no, those would be really great characters.
Dame Helen Mirren, I think. I think she's a female knight.
Yeah.
As for Cuff,
Mm.
at least the way, in my opinion, the way they describe him and to pull off his little quibs,
Mm-hmm.
Ian McKellen.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't picture that at all. I picture someone shorter and rounder.
But they described him as tall and lanky.
But I picture someone shorter and rounder. I don't
It's like,
care what
I
they
know you're
describe
supposed to
him
be
as.
thin, but we have trainers.
Who would act as? for Bluff, right? You said Sergeant
Cuff.
Sergeant Cuff.
The initial investigator.
No, the old detective.
Oh, yeah, then okay, fine, I guess. I think
He's tall, lanky.
he's the one that stations the lookout outside the bank, right?
No, you're thinking Bruff. That's
Yeah.
the lawyer.
No, we're talking Cuff.
I'm fucking confused.
The detective.
Yeah, from the beginning of the book, that plants his roses.
Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't station a guy outside the thing. That's Bruff, the lawyer.
I can't. There's too many Bruffs and Cluffs and
Yeah, a
Cruffs
lot of
and
names
shit.
are close.
So, So then who's the short brown dude I'm thinking about?
You're thinking about the first cop that's there, which is why they went and get cuffed, because the first cop is an idiot.
Ah.
Remember, the first cop thinks the smear on the door happened because the ladies were all packed into the room,
Yeah.
No.
even though the paint is dry. It's like, you moron.
Yeah.
Just a door.
Okay, for him, let's go Jonah Hill.
Okay, fine.
Because, he's a good actor. His little age makeup, he's there.
I mean, we already got a round guy that can be obnoxious if needed.
Who?
Danny DeVito.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he does that so well.
Yes. Just imagine him and Ian McKellen going back at it.
Oh, I'd love to see anything those two together in. That would be amazing. That'd be like an old twins kind of thing.
But just imagine that the last exchange they have, he's like, some people making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
And he's like, some people trip over a molehill because they're looking to the... It's like, yo.
Trying to think who the lawyer would be.
How about Godfrey, the ladies' man?
Oh, goodness. For the alternate universe, the fan casting, I feel like it would have to be John Cena.
Oh my God.
What?
I mean, he's supposed to be giving speeches and shit and talk all the time, so yeah, that would work.
But it would have to be with someone who's obviously not, like, to me, John Cena is like, he's a big personality, but not someone that ladies necessarily fawn over, and so that kind of makes it almost like ironically funny that he would be the ladies' man, because he's just so unladies' man-ish.
Yeah.
If you're listening, John Cena, you've been challenged.
Right.
I'm still thinking of this lawyer. It'll come to me. I feel like there's like the perfect character is like just outside the realm of my vision. It's just gonna pluck it right out. And I have to wait until it comes to
What
me.
about for Miss Clack and her, what are they called?
Tracks.
Her tracks.
What's the name of that?
Who would play a crazy cat lady really well?
I'm thinking of that. There's like one particular woman that's been in a lot of comedies lately. She's a little on the like fuller side. She
Tiffany
did.
Haddish?
No, I don't think that's her name.
No, it's definitely not.
How fuller are we talking? Because there's several female comedians. They range on the sizes.
Yeah,
So-
like in Hollywood, anybody who's like a size
trying to be
3
nice
is like
here.
you're a 4. How big are you?
No.
Like, is she
she's a full-figured
blonde,
woman.
Yeah.
redhead?
She's like a dirty blonde. You know who would also make a really
Dirty
good
blonde.
Lady Verinder? The woman from The Matrix and Hannibal, Lauren Fishburne's wife.
Oh,
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I like Gina Rodriguez.
Is that her
Gina Torres. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
that lady. Yeah, she
Yeah.
would have made a really awesome Lady Verinder.
Yep. She was in whatchamacallit too. Serenity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. I always think of The Matrix because that's the first role I ever saw her in. I hadn't seen anything else by then.
She was in The Matrix.
Uh-huh.
Was she?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that
She lived in
wrong.
Zion.
Oh yes. Okay.
What are you looking for?
I think I know the female comedian you're talking about.
Dennis?
I
Do you
don't.
have any suggestions for roles of any of these people?
The only one I agree with you with like Hermione
Mm-hmm.
with Emma Watson. I was thinking more Jennifer Lawrence, because she's more.
Yeah, I don't like
This
Jennifer
lady or
Lawrence
the
either.
slightly bigger one?
I didn't say I didn't like Jennifer Lawrence. How dare you?
I figured.
Oh,
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, I could see her like if you dress her up in the right outfit.
yeah, I'm sure, but
And she's like shrill enough. I need that shrillness to be like,
okay.
you said.
Speaking of shrill, we'll talk about that later.
Uh-oh.
No, it was a good thing. It's a good show. I'm trying to think of who else we could cast.
For what? Oh, which character?
Like, we haven't cast any of the Indians yet.
Because you can do it just find some.
I mean, there are not a lot of well-known Indian actors.
Right, and all the ones we would cast would only work for the comedy.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Ooh.
but most of the actors I know,
Ooh.
most of the actors I know for like that are well-known Indian actors are comedians. Anyway.
Comedians, right?
So it'll be like just a star-studded cast of Indian actors doing these cameos, and it's like
Peter
what?
Russell?
And it's like
What?
It's like and some of these people aren't even Indian; they're just brown.
Right.
It's like why is Kumail Nanjiani playing an Indian? He's Pakistani. And then there's that one.
So who you put there?
And Hassan Minaj, and it's like from
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz
Like,
Ansari.
all of
It's
these
like-
guys.
Yeah.
It's like one of those guys is from North Carolina.
I mean, where he was born don't make a difference so long as he looks the part. His heritage is what matters, right?
Remember when we talked about the guy doing the voices and it's respectful? They don't do that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they don't do Indian voices at all.
No.
What could they then? I'm kidding.
They're funny and informative.
Yes.
What's how about the pawnbroker? Because when the lawyer describes him, he sounds like the most disgusting thing to look at on the planet.
No, wow.
I
don't know anybody in Hollywood that looks like that.
I had another casting.
Because remember
We're thinking American Hollywood. We don't do ugly actors.
because he describes first the
That's
Indian
why
guy
I'm
who was all like was super formal and spoke beautifully,
Yeah.
and then this fucking wreck of a human being comes in and it's all dirty looking and slimy. And I think he describes him that way because he's a pawnbroker.
That's right. Probably.
Where it's like he probably looks kind of normal, but he's like, I can see the filth coming out of his pores.
Well, even have you ever been into a pawn shop? They don't like live above that standard. Like other than the plate glass, it's like the place looks horrible.
Yeah.
They don't even have a bodega cat in those places.
Oh, goodness.
Damn.
Yeah.
I have a Bettridge.
Go ahead.
Ooh, okay.
You have to put you have to age him up a bit.
Uh-huh.
John Mulaney.
Oh, definitely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Delivering those
Yeah.
lines,
Yeah.
yes.
And just
Definitely.
constantly going on about fucking Robinson Crusoe and
Oh, yeah,
and
he could
drinking
definitely
too
do
much.
that.
Yeah. John Mulaney.
I
What?
wonder if he can do an accent.
I think so.
I think he's kind of doing one now.
Is he?
Yeah. As himself.
Oh. What?
Trying to think of other possible Bettridges.
Who plays the
No,
the
my-
humble servant?
Now my head is all gone John Mulaney. Like I'm just rerunning his stuff in
Oh,
my head
no. I
now.
apologize.
It's a
The
good
humble
thing.
servant?
The girl that was initially suspected,
Oh,
the one that committed suicide.
yes.
No. Who plays Ratty really well? Like Dirty.
That you suspect she's done something the entire time?
Yeah.
I mean, you could go
This is the one actress, I don't know her name.
the-
But I watch her all the time on Shameless.
You could almost do the.
She plays the younger sister.
I don't know that. Sure.
She's redhead. She looks like she could be poor very easily.
Oh no.
And I don't know what that means, but I mean she plays poor in this show.
Mm-hmm.
So just like I just know her as poor.
Mm,
like
got
poor and dirty
Okay.
kind of. I can't remember her name, but she's the actress who plays the younger sister on Shameless. No, I'm just saying it so that the crowd will know who it is.
Oh, okay, because I don't want it to be like that.
Oh, okay. It's on Showtime. It's a very good show. It's about a horrible person who's a father who has a bunch of kids. His wife is a meth head or drug addict, and they have a bunch of kids. And the sister has to raise him.
Actually reminds me of the scene where she was talking about where he was reading her letter, and she was talking about how she had found it, like she found it crazy that she could have lived a life previously of doing all the daring thieving and getting away with it, and she was not nervous, but the idea of just talking to him.
I think your dog just farted on me.
Yeah, and this one has been trying to get in my lap for a minute now, and she's like too long to like make it, and too short to jump, and it's weird.
Toby, stop farting.
Anyway, yeah, that just
in
reminded
your dream.
me. But thinking one of the Sansa Stark. To play.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like
damn it, I know her name too, and I can't remember.
I believe that you know her name.
Because she just married a Jonas brother.
She got married?
Yeah.
Isn't she like 12?
No.
No.
Unless you're thinking of Arya. Arya's like she's not 12.
Aren't they almost the same age?
No, they're adults. They're both adults, but one's just shorter.
Adults by what standard?
But I only know one standard.
They can order drinks.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I guess.
That's as best as I can.
Like, who's paying for this drink? The many-faced girl.
Exactly. Alternative casting? Funny casting? Ridiculous casting?
Okay, the one thing that came to mind.
Oh, I know the ladies.
There's a short scene with the mother of the friend of the girl who killed herself.
You mean Limping Lucy's mother?
Limping Lucy's mom. And the first thing that came to mind was Tracy Ullman. The actress who she does all these voices. She's British. You'll know her when you see.
I'm gonna have to have a device specifically for looking people up because I fail miserably at this.
Yeah, she's a comedic actress.
For Franklin Blake, because I don't think we casted him for the regular one.
No, we didn't.
No.
I feel like there's a role for Steve Martin somewhere in here.
When I think of Blake, I think of Gaston from Sleeping Beauty. So I'm trying to find someone in my head that's like a real life version of the cartoon Gaston.
Muscly.
I think he would be John Cena. Gaston would definitely be John Cena. We just gotta teach him French.
No, it can't be.
Let's see.
Which is funny because Blake, is not very pompous or arrogant as a character.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marky Mark.
Yep.
Yeah.
But how do we get him to stop doing a Boston accent? Or do we want him to do the Boston accent?
He doesn't. He kind of got rid of it a long time ago.
No.
It just sounds. It's probably like a remnant still there.
Okay, so who's...
You just don't want to give him any work because he's a Sox fan.
Maybe.
So who's better in the alternate universe?
Oh, it's Sean Connery. It's got to be Sean Connery.
Oh, okay, because you didn't seem taken by it, so I was like, I guess I have to change.
Ricky Gervais probably busy anyway.
Who?
I already mentioned it. We already went over this. We're not doing this bit again.
Let's see.
You have to cast your people. Who are you casting them as?
Is there no room for Patrick Stewart in here?
Or The Rock?
Well, Patrick Stewart. if we're gonna have.
Oh, he could be the lawyer.
I feel like that would work in the real, the serious movie. If we're making a silly movie with Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart should be one of the Indians.
Oh, goodness. No. You'll upset people.
Yes, I know. Well, that's of course that's who The Rock has to be then.
Yeah.
He has to be one of the Indians.
Yeah.
And of course, he'll have to be the Indian that has the interview with the lawyer. So remember how the lawyer's like how well spoken he was and all his mannerisms. So instead of him doing like the bow, he'll do the people's eyebrow.
So we're not even talking about current rock. We're talking about rock from years ago when
Right.
they first started.
That's the
acting.
only rock that exists in his mind. I'm trying to figure out where I want to stick Keanu Reeves. I feel like he could be an Indian too.
Definitely. Same way Tom Cruise is the last samurai.
Yeah, oh my god, I forgot about
God. I mean, you're
Oh,
right.
now I'm thinking about.
But
Paul
Tom
Moonstone.
Cruise is the last summer. It's the last of the 3 Indians.
Yep.
So we have The Rock,
Uh,
Tom Cruise, and Keanu Reeves. That's 3 humble outcast Indians.
Oh god.
Or
We're horrible directors. Horrible casting directors.
we could have William Shatner be an Indian.
Oh.
That's a long
Oh
movie.
my god. The only
know
other
what's
person we
longer
know
still?
that was an Indian, who played an Indian, who's now dead, is Ricardo Montalban,
Oh.
who played Khan.
You know what would be longer still is if you put William Shatner to be Bettridge.
That's what I was just hearing it.
Yeah.
Robin. Cruise. Veterans, we have to go.
Could you imagine the dramatic effect he would drop when Blake comes to tell him about the kid at the end and he goes, I knew. Already. Robinson. Crusoe.
Oh my
Told
god.
me. Like, oh shit. That would take 9 years. That movie would be like 9 years long.
Yep. Available on 300 DVDs.
Straight to DVD. I feel like I want to make, in an alternate universe, I'd want to make the Moonstone a human.
Oh, like
Yeah, like I want it to be a person, or like give it a personality of some form. I'm just trying to think of whose personality I would want it to have. Because it's like running around, getting stolen from here to there. It's cursed, and every time it lands up in someone's lap, it's probably like, no, don't take me, you're gonna die too. Or like.
Do we want it to be worried about people?
Or not. Like that's the thing.
See, if it's not worried, immediately I just hear like, for instance, in that first scene where the guy
Stabs him.
kills all the Indians, and he's holding the Moonstone, and the Indian is like, you and your family will be cursed, and then the other guy comes in. Here's the voice I hear. The guy comes in, he sees the guy holding the knife with the Moonstone, and then, in the perfect voice, this motherfucker just killed everybody.
You see?
You just gonna stand there, motherfucker? Do something about this shit.
Yeah, so something like that.
now
Definitely.
the Moonstone's Eddie Murphy in the 80s.
He's just holding it like.
No! I got it. The Moonstone is Richard Pryor.
Oh my god. Now we're bringing celebrities back to play inanimate objects.
Did you just think about that movie? The Rock, Keanu Reeves, and Tom
And a reincarnated Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor is the Stone, voicing thoughts of the Stone.
I don't think they can afford to make this movie.
Oh no. No. So the ladies, who's Lady Vander in Funny Fan casting?
Melissa McCarthy. I think Funny Ladies, she comes to my mind first.
I don't know.
Because she reminds me of my aunt on that.
Are they being pesty?
They're being pesty.
You pests. You pests.
Well, violence is ensuing.
He's like, why did you put me down? And she's like, why won't you pick me up?
Because you got
You
down.
nibble on my cables. Okay. Well, I think that we're all brain dead.
Yeah. It's, it was a long book. It finally got good for me.
Do we have ideas on what to read next?
We know what we're reading next.
I don't want to read Robinson Crusoe next.
Well, it's in the lineup.
It is in the lineup.
Okay.
I just don't know if I want to read it next.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the other suggestion you made was, Three Musketeers.
You know what you
Ooh, that'd be cool.
do? Yeah, you want to do Three
Yeah,
Musketeers?
I can get into that.
Okay, so we'll do Three Musketeers next.
Yay, D'Artagnan.
I don't know. What that means.
D'Artagnan.
He's one of the Three Musketeers.
Oh.
No.
No?
Oh. Drama.
Am I wrong?
That's
Well, I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
He is the young musketeer who's being apprenticed by the three.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
see, I don't know anything about Three Musketeers, except, like, take from the rich, give to the poor, if that's even this story. No, it's some other story.
No, no.
I'm totally fucked up.
It's also French Revolution kind of.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
All for one and one for all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
thing. Isn't this,
Athos, Porthos, and D'Artagnan.
Dumas? Is he the narrator for this?
The writer?
The author, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, yeah, but yes.
Okay, so then it should be good, enjoyable, because you read it
Yes.
well. Are you going to look it up?
Of course he is.
Let's see what year it is.
Why else do we have phones?
Wait, we have
Come on,
Call
baby.
people? We don't
Hey,
do
baby. Come here, baby. You want to come up here? Up. Alright. Don't nibble on my tables. Silly baby.
So the Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas.
Dumas? Dumas? Dumbass?
Originally published in 1844.
That's an old book.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's what we do here.
That's what we
It's
do.
part of our, podcast trio.
We read old books and talk about
That's right, when we're not talking about wires or tangents.
Or tangents.
What? Tangents.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I have a lavalier mic. This dog is probably getting...
Rubbing all
Oh my
over it.
god.
Yeah.
After you yelled at Dennis not to do it.
Well, he did it anyway, so I could do it.
I did not do it anyway.
Okay, so with that we're gonna leave.
Are we
Because
leaving?
the dogs are getting restless.
That's
They're gonna
right.
start barking. It's gonna be annoying.
That's right.
So we're gonna head out.
And then
you
children,
can
children
find
are gonna have
us.
to go home and they're gonna start screaming again.
That's very true. So you can find us on
Facebook?
Twitter and Instagram primarily.
Yes.
Facebook, yes, but never.
Yes. If you're over 40, you can find us on Facebook.
Yeah, really. Let us know what you thought about the podcast in the comments, please.
Mm-hmm.
Feedback always welcome.
Yes.
If you want to see what we look like or you want to watch us chat, you can find us on YouTube.
Hi. How are you?
Oh god, he's being weird.
I am. Always. Weird's my thing.
The next book will be The Three Musketeers, which I'm
Yes.
kind of excited about. And if you enjoyed this episode and you want to support us, you can pause this and share this episode with someone that would also like this.
And if you want to call in, please buy us a phone system. And we'll do that for you.
Yeah, or you could just tweet at us. I think that wraps it up.
Yeah.
You guys have any other announcements or anything?
No, I just
We
like
also
to say
have a
thank you.
Patreon account, which
Do
is
we?
collecting dust. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
I made it 100 years ago, but I never promoted it.
Yeah, help us out.
Patreon.
Patreon. These books is expensive, son.
right.
We all
That's
out here in
right.
this quarantine life.
That's right. Listen to the books for you so we could talk about them and you have something to listen to in between your home workouts and walking your dog
Yeah,
in the hallway
for sure.
away from your neighbors
That's right.
while you're social distancing.
6 feet,
6 feet.
people.
That's
6
right.
feet.
Wash
right.
your hands. 20
Yeah,
seconds.
let's get this over with. Let's kill the disease so we can go back to be, not
Mm.
liking each other for other reasons.
Yeah,
And you can listen to us outdoors
Yeah.
with your friends.
6 feet apart.
Yeah. On your roof.
6 feet apart.
Yeah. So that you can stay away from people.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Later.
You can hit that red button.
This one?
Yeah,
The one that's red?
yeah.
What the?
Hit that button next to it. That's a stop.
The one that says play?
Oh, stop.
The square.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
Hell yeah. You may de-lavalier yourself. Oh, I have to pause this thing.
1 hour and 15 minutes.
Done.
Sweet.
Edit. Name this is...
Tubers.
I've never actually read The Three Musketeers, but I have watched,
Oh, yeah, we've seen the movies.
like,
I haven't even watched the movies.
I've
No?
watched like 3 different movies. That's why the one thing I do know is The Three Musketeers in reference
Mm-hmm.
are 3 older musketeers
Mm-hmm.
that are helping the new D'Artagnan.
Oh, okay.
So it's Arthos, Porthos,
Athos, Porthos, and
and
D'Artagnan.
Aramis.
Aramis. Yeah, Aramis is the other one. One of them dies in the movie.
And D'Artagnan is
Mhm.
the young,
Yeah.
the young person who believes
There
that
might be boats on this episode.
Okay.
Just saying.
I'm fine with boats.
Okay, because last time
I was just saying, like, I don't think we should just become the Old Books Boat podcast.
I mean, technically there was some boats in this boat.
Yeah, but not. It wasn't
toward
like
the end.
it wasn't all boats.
Bye.